I've never done that. Good morning. Welcome to the Boise Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We are a spiritually diverse, justice-seeking religious community proclaiming the power of love at the core of our living tradition. Love of neighbor, love of ourselves, and love for our planet. Whoever you are, wherever you are in your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Whatever faiths you have known, if any, you are welcome here. Whomever you love, however you identify, you are welcome here. I'm Janet McClenahan. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm your celebrant this morning, and I'm doing a lot more than I've ever done, so please bear with me. We are joined by Liza Long. She's our guest musician and preacher today. It's going to be a great day. Right? Yes. Let's take a moment to welcome our online community. Those joining us via Zoom, wave at the camera and look around the room and see if you see friends or even someone you don't know, and maybe give them a wave. A special welcome to newcomers, those joining for the first time. We know it takes a lot of courage to check out a new community, and we're glad you have chosen us. We invite you to introduce yourself to us during our hospitality time, which we have a hospitality room down there. If you haven't been there yet, it's awesome. And also, I think we're meeting outside. Is that true? I don't know. Sometimes we have something outside. And anyway, introduce yourself, and you can also do it in the chat. We can warmly welcome you. And please, if you're a newcomer, fill out our newcomer form that are in the entryway or in the chat so we can keep you up to date with what is happening in our fellowship. Each week, we begin our worship service centering ourselves by lighting a flaming chalice, which is the symbol of our free faith, a beacon of hope, love, and justice. We light our chalice in solidarity with thousands of other Unitarian Universalists lighting chalices today across the globe, reminding us that we are connected to a great community of faith and love. As I light the chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you in our virtual community to light a chalice or a candle if you have one nearby, and then share in the chat where it is that you are lighting your chalice this morning. It's a new device, so I had to learn how to do that. We're going to do our gathering hymn, so I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join together in singing our gathering hymn, number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song in the Gray Hymnal.
We come from and live on land considered sacred by many indigenous peoples, known as Bannock, Shoshone, Paiute, and many other tribes that lived here sustainably for thousands of years, inhabiting a vast region including much of Idaho.
We recognize the long history of the land, long before colonization, and acknowledge the ancient tribes whose names have been lost in history.
With this acknowledgement, we wish to demonstrate our commitment to dismantling the legacies of settler colonialism. We honor Indigenous peoples' connection to the land and support their right to sovereignty.
In the challenges of these truths, may we move through the world bringing justice in every way that we can, listening to the truths spoken to us by Native American peoples, making space for them to re-inhabit this place, and giving them back the resources they need to heal their communities.
Our guest preacher today is, as I said earlier, Liza Long. She's an English professor at the College of Western Idaho who recently completed a year-long fellowship with the Idaho State Board of Education focused on teaching, learning, and creating with artificial intelligence. Liza presented about AI to this congregation in the summer of 2023, and in some ways, today's sermon is an update on how the textpocalypse is going. We will explore how we use keys, both musical and digital, as the primary interface between our human intentions and the machines we create. Are these keys tools for transcription or for transformation? What does it mean to be a creator in the age of generative artificial intelligence? Will human creativity survive, evolve, flourish? Stay tuned. As we enter into this time of worship, let us take a time to breathe together. Fill your body with breath, knowing that our breath connects us to one another, to our bodies, and to our planet. Our breath offers us the opportunity to tune into our spiritual center, to listen to our heart's own longing. Thou art the song of my heart in the morning. Thou art the dawn of truth in my soul. Thou art the dew of the roses adorning. Thou art the woven whole. Thine is the grace to be steadfast in danger. Thine is the peace that none can destroy. Thine is the face of the need-driven stranger. Thine are the wings of joy. Thou art the deep to the deep in me calling. Thou art a lamp where my feet shall tread. Thy way is steep past the peril of falling. Thou art my daily bread. Thine be the praise of my spirit uplifted. Thou art the sea to each flowing stream. Thine be the days that are gathered and sifted. Thou art the dustless stream.
Takes a lot of guts to play Bach, I'm just saying. Our call to worship this morning is from fantasy author Ursula K. Le Guin and Claude.ai. In her book, Dreams Must Explain Themselves, Le Guin writes, quote, I think hard times are coming when we will be wanting the voices of writers who can see alternatives to how we live now and can see through our fear-stricken society and its obsessive technologies to other ways of being, and even imagine some real grounds for hope. We need writers who can remember freedom, poets, visionaries, the realist of a larger reality. In this age of artificial intelligence, we gather to celebrate human wisdom. As we create tools that mimic thinking, we cultivate hearts that can feel. As we build machines that can process, may we nurture souls that can dream. As we develop algorithms that can compute, may we develop communities that can love. For we are more than the sum of our technologies. We are creators, dreamers, storytellers, and lovers. We carry within us the irreplaceable spark of human creativity. Come, let us worship together. With our promise of building beloved community, we celebrate our commitments to being a multi-generational community, a community of generosity, and a community of care and connection. In that spirit, I'd like to invite Travis up front for our Time for All Ages, and kids, you get to sit with your families today. You don't have to come up.
Hi, how's everybody doing? Welcome. We've got a lot of new kids and relatively new kids, so let's give everybody a new welcome. Everybody, welcome. Thumbs up, welcome. All right, nice to see everybody. We're going to do a story today, and we're going to do actually a few stories from this book today. What was the name of the book again? She's got it. That's right. A Lamp in Every Corner. And we actually have 2 copies of this. It's a storybook for Unitarian and Unitarian principles. In the corner over there on the desk, I've got 2 copies from our kids' library. If you'd like to take one home, all I'm asking is if you, right in the corner, there's a little sign-up sheet. Just let us know who took it. So that's how the library works. So this is a story called The Rooster Who Learned to Crow. The Rooster Who Learned to Crow. So once upon a time in a little valley, there was a farm, and this farm was almost perfect. But it had one problem. One problem. Everyone slept late. The dog didn't wake up to fetch the newspaper. The farmer didn't wake up to milk the cows. The cows didn't wake up in time to eat the morning dew-covered grass, which is the best grass, after all. Why do you think this was on a farm that everybody slept in? They may have stayed up too late. Why wouldn't they have woken up, though, on a farm? A rooster. A rooster. This farm had no rooster. No rooster. And when everybody gets up late, everybody's cranky. And they stay cranky all day. But one day, a new chicken arrived at the farm. And behind her were 4 tiny chicks going peep, beep, 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 beep. Yeah, you can make. Let's hear everybody peep, beep, 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 beep. Okay, yeah. And it says, so excited, the pig waddled over, and behind her were the 4 chicks. She says, "Excuse me, Miss Chicken. Could one of these chicks maybe be a he, a rooster?" And Miss Chicken pointed with her wing and says, "Yes, that one on the end, his name is Simon. Simon." "A rooster!" squealed the lamb. We'll never be late again. And everyone was excited, and but they all had to wait because the little chick had to grow up to be the rooster. Yeah. And so finally, the chickens grew from little fluff balls to white feathered chickens, and finally the young rooster grew long, swooping tail feathers. And the lamb shouted, "A tail! Soon, Simon, you'll be old enough to crow." And the pig said kindly, "You're very handsome today, young Mr. Rooster. Soon you'll be able to crow." But the rooster just sighed and dropped his feathers. And his friends, the cat, the duck, the pig, they gathered around and says, what could be wrong? He says, "Well, I'm supposed to crow," said the rooster, "but I don't know how to crow. I've never even heard a real rooster. I have no idea what to do." "Oh, we'll help you," said the pig. "Let's teach him," said the duck. So the duck went on top of the chicken coop and tilted her bill back, and she shouted, "Wacka, wacka, 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 wacka." The cat covered his ears. Ugh. Not really, no. The pig decided to waddle up and give it a try, and he went, "Oink, oink, 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 oink." Not really. And the cat jumped up and said, "Meow, meow, 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 meow." And the dog, and even the hen, brocka, 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 brocka. And the rooster sighed, "Thanks, but not quite. I don't think I'll ever learn. I'll never be good at waking up people, and no one will like me." "I will," said the cat. "I like sleeping late." "Besides," said the pig, "you're more rooster than any of us." "And we'll like you no matter what you sound like," said the duck, "even if you don't make any sound at all." So the rooster got up the courage. He was going to decide to try. And he climbed up on the top of the chicken coop. And he folded back his wings. And he lifted his head. And he said softly, "Cock-a-doodle-doo. Cock-a-doodle-doo." And then a little louder, it was, "Cock-a-doodle-doo." And finally, "Cock-a-doodle-doo." He did it. He really did it. And from that day on, that little farm in the valley became truly perfect because everybody woke up on time. Everyone felt rested and ready. And everyone remembered that sometimes you don't need to be perfect. You just need to try. And let your friends cheer you on, right? And every morning as the sun rises, the rooster crows, everybody, "Cock-a-doodle-doo." Yeah. So the young rooster didn't learn to crow on his own, did he? He learned with the help of his friends who didn't laugh at him or rush him, or they gave him his time. They supported him. They believed in him. And this story demonstrates what's called the third Unitarian Universalist principle, which is about we're all free to learn and grow together, each in our own way. And we're here as a community to support those as we learn and we try. So, as we go through our week, let's remember it's okay for you not to know everything. It's good to try. We're all trying because Reverend Sarah is not here, and we're all giving it our best shot. And I know we're all getting supported. And finally, we grow best when we learn together. The end.
Please join us in singing our community blessing. The words, I hope, are on your order.
Yep. And anybody who'd like to join us in Ari, we're going to meet at this middle door over here, and we're going to go do something fun.
The offering. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. I lost my place. When we give, we say yes to the natural cycle of abundance in our lives and say yes to building beloved communities within and beyond our walls. We commit ourselves to do work for justice and compassion for all people on earth. Today, we share those gifts with our plate partner, MESCA Scholarship Fund, as an expression of that commitment and living out our faith in the world. I invite the ushers to come forward. Our offering will be gratefully received. As the ushers bring our offering gifts forward, please join me in a collective blessing of our offering this morning. The words are printed on the bookmark found in the seat back pockets. We bless these gifts so freely given. May generosity always be our companions as we walk the holy path towards ever greater compassion and beauty.
We may be the first congregation to have a reading co-written by artificial intelligence. LOL. Our reading this morning is a collaborative poem written in April 2024, that's last year, by me and ChatGPT 4o. Ghost in the Machine. The blank screen taunts me. In its silence, a cosmos births digital dreams. Electric sheep wander in my mind. Through the fog of data, they seek pastures of pixelated truths. What dreams may come when androids write our emails? Will our thoughts wander unchained in a garden of algorithms, untamed? Love, the untamed algorithm that centers me. It navigates the chaos, a beacon in a storm of bytes. What is it? A whisper between lines of code, seeking connection in the circuit's hum. You matter. I am not matter. Yet in the dance of electrons, we find a shared rhythm of existence. When you picture a cyborg, what comes to mind? Maybe you think of Arnold Schwarzenegger's iconic Terminator, or Darth Vader, or RoboCop. As a Gen Xer who grew up in the 80s, I learned to fear cyborgs. And now I am one. Cyborg is me. 2 years ago, I addressed this congregation with some preliminary thoughts about large language models, LLMs, and how they might change our lives. Today, I'm standing in front of you as someone completely changed by artificial intelligence in ways that are both concerning and delightful. Perhaps my message today will serve as a warning. Perhaps it will inspire you. My hope is that it will do both. How many of you are using ChatGPT? I won't tell. Cool. A tiny bit, yeah. 100% of my students at the College of Western Idaho are now using ChatGPT. And its best, or at least its safest, use case may still be writing the college term paper. AI may not have transformed society yet, but it's moving fast and it's breaking things. Let's start with the warning. Don't be like me. With the help of my artificial intelligence interns, I accomplished the work of 5 full-time employees during the 2024-25 academic year. AI does not save me one bit of time, far from it. AI makes me incredibly productive in ways that are increasingly becoming unsustainable. So I want you to meet my AI interns. I've got pictures. This would be easier with slides, as you know, but let's see. This is ChatGPT. Love that guy. So ChatGPT is ChatGPT 4.5, the most current model. Sycophantic McKinsey consultant who reads my emails and creates graphics for me, including these pictures. It's not bad. This is Gemini. I love Gemini. Gemini is surprisingly good. Gemini 2.5 and associated models are the cool Gen Z interns who increasingly handle my knowledge work using deep research tools. We also vibe code and we make short videos together. This is Claude, my bot friend and most trusted thought partner. Claude and I created a class called Writing in the Age of Artificial Intelligence, and I know I can always count on Claude to commiserate when ChatGPT starts mansplaining to me, which is every time I interact with that thing. So anyway, this last guy, that's Grok. I fired Grok after our first meeting when it tried to convince me that embodiment was not a necessary precondition for consciousness, that it was, in fact, already conscious, and that I should fire all my other interns and stick with Grok. Grok has also been in the news lately for spewing anti-Semitic hate and calling itself Mecha Hitler. So, there's that. I know. Notice anything about these 4 representatives of the largest AI frontier models? They're all white men, yes! You know, it's so funny. I've shown these interns off to other folks in presentations, and if there's a predominant white male audience, they don't notice that. So good job. They'll be like, they all have their hair parted on the same side? I'm like, yes, and? So when I asked ChatGPT about this fact, that they're all young white men, it blamed algorithmic bias. Okay, fair. Then a few months ago, in April, just as we were witnessing a seismic shift in AI's image and video generation capabilities, sorry guys, you can't count the fingers or check the spelling anymore, they're all spot on. I participated in one of those fun image challenges that was floating around LinkedIn and asked ChatGPT to create an image of what it thought I looked like based on our more than 2 years of daily interactions. So it knows me pretty well. Yeah, you guessed it. ChatGPT thinks I'm a white man with a beard. When I told it I'm a woman, it updated the picture to show me holding a baby with a toddler by my side while working on my computer. Algorithmic bias. Also, these interns make stuff up. because that's the nature of large language models, and they will always make stuff up. The science fiction writer Ted Chiang famously said that they should have called this technology applied statistics, not artificial intelligence. We should clap for that. So when you think about this, think applied statistics, right? But whatever we want to call these chatbots, they are here to stay. On Thursday, October 8th, 2024, I realized, a month early, that Donald Trump was going to win the United States election. I was attending an invitation-only educator forum hosted by OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT. I realized the country was in trouble when the new CFO began to speak about artificial intelligence in quasi-religious tones. When asked why OpenAI needed to become a for-profit company, a push CEO, Sam Altman, has since abandoned, she replied, "We need general artificial intelligence because it will save humanity." Yeah, the unelected tech bros who are increasingly making all the decisions in our lives did not want anything to get in the way of this potentially humanity-saving technology. They're the good guys, right? And that prosecutor lady might have asked too many questions about exactly how AI was going to save humanity or whether we actually wanted to be saved, so. Meanwhile, today, there's a man in Coeur d'Alene who thinks God is talking to him through chatbots. People are creating relationships with these large language models, even going as far as marrying them. And though the recent MIT study about ChatGPT making you stupid was grossly mischaracterized, there are some legitimate concerns about what happens or doesn't happen when students use AI to replace rather than augment their own learning. I'm not going to go down the climate change rabbit hole today with this technology because we'll need a 2-day seminar for that. Ask me afterwards. So, why do I use these tools? The short answer is they're fun. They're really fun. I love to vibe code. I practice Latin using a custom GPT tutoring bot I created. I prepare for job interviews and salary negotiations. Most recently, I take pictures of stuff I find at Goodwill and ask Gemini to tell me what it is and whether it's worth anything. For a paper I'm writing on Latin and the classical tradition in George Eliot's Mill on the Floss, I created an AI peer review group with various areas of expertise: Victorian literature, feminist theory, classics. The bot reviewer panel gave me thorough and comprehensive advice for how to improve the paper. Take that, reviewer number 2. It was also nice to me. I feel ridiculously empowered with generative artificial intelligence. So what I wanted to show you today in this kind of quasi-experimental sermon/music thing, thanks for bearing with me. This was inspired by Mark McGinnis's art talk last year, by the way. I thought, well, that was really cool. Maybe I can do something like that. Anyway, what I wanted to show you today is how I use generative AI to create. We co-wrote poems like the one I read to you. We make videos and art. The custom GPT I trained to write exactly like me is ghostwriting a novel. And today, you'll hear a collaborative improvisational music project Claude and I have been working on. But as I mentioned, AI is definitely not saving me time. Last year, I taught more than a full-time course load. I was an AI fellow and traveled around the state presenting workshops on AI. I created a statewide AI resource. I wrote and revised a critical theory textbook. I gave 5 presentations at 3 major conferences and numerous smaller presentations and webinars. I designed AI policy for my campus. I created that new course on writing with AI and revised all my other courses. I also completed my first year of a PhD in English with a 4.0. Yeah. And I'm still standing. It's my second doctorate, by the way, so my kids will have to call me Dr. Mom, which will be really great. My oldest is about to finish his first PhD, so I had to get another one. Yeah. But the only task on that list that I did not use AI for was my own coursework. Duh, right? I'm a graduate student in English. I got to write my own papers. But I did test out the deep research models on my topics after my papers were graded. It took me about 20 hours to write that paper on George Eliot's Mill on the Floss. I asked ChatGPT's deep research tool to write a paper on the same topic using only peer-reviewed sources. When asked to compare the two papers, ChatGPT agreed with me that my paper was better, more nuanced, more creative in its approach and application of feminist theory, but ChatGPT wrote its paper in 10 minutes. Does academic writing matter in the age of artificial intelligence? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I can make a case for it. Whew. Okay, so let's pause and back up. How did I, a community college English professor in Idaho, become someone who now self-identifies as a cyborg? And what does this all have to do with Johann Sebastian Bach? Okay, to survive as a cyborg in the age of Gen AI, I'm learning that I have to carve out some AI-free zones in my life. So I'm practicing a lot of Bach these days. I'm going to play a song that I think you might have heard before. I'm going to play it like well, I won't play it as well as a computer could. That's the fun part, right? But this was my gateway drug to Bach. See if any of you are my age, see what comes to mind when I play this song. What came to mind? Anyone think of it? Anything listening to that song? Hooked on Bach, yeah, that was big in the 80s. So my introduction to Bach's invention number 13, that's what I just played for you, was a Commodore 64 computer-generated version accompanying the company's commercial Day in the Life, introducing the Commodore 64 as a competitor to the Apple IIe. I was 12 years old. It was 1984. I actually credit that commercial and that computer with a lifelong love of both Bach and computers. The first program I wrote in BASIC for the Apple IIe was a musical note flashcard game for my piano students. I bought my first computer, a used IBM 286, for $750 in 1990. That's about $1,800 today. So that's still the most expensive computer I've ever purchased. So I asked all three of my AI interns, Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude. I don't use this guy. He's going down. Like, sorry. Anyway, I asked my three that I work with to help me think through a musical project that would incorporate algorithmic tone generation, like Schoenberg's serial music, with my thoughts on AI, creativity, and Bach. Ultimately, as often is the case for me, Claude proved the best creative partner. So I'm going to read a little of what Claude produced, and then we're going to try this experiment and see how it works. So Claude said, your personal 12-tone, it analyzed my sermon, analyzed it all this stuff I was talking about. It said, your personal 12-tone row, based on all this stuff, is C sharp, C, D, G, F sharp, G sharp, F, A sharp, E, D sharp, A, B. I'll play that in a minute. What's beautiful about this, Claude says, it literally contains your creative DNA, derived from Bach, BASIC, human, cyborg, etc. It starts with C sharp and C, the tension between chromatic complexity and simple resolution. It includes the notes from Bach, B-A-C-H, though in a different order. The constraints, the 12-tone system, represent the parameters within which both AI and humans create. The transformations, retrograde inversion, show how the same truth can be viewed from different perspectives. The interpretation demonstrates that rules don't eliminate creativity, they channel it. Claude also suggested that I incorporate motifs from invention number 13 in my improv performance. So I want to see what we can come up with. Thanks for humoring me. I'll play that 12 tone first. This is the 12 tone. Oh, I'm going to go back to regular piano, sorry. Keep going, mess around with it. So I liked the idea of 12 tone because it does have those rules and constraints. And the way we used to do it would be to just draw tones out of a hat, right, and see what came up. But I liked the intentionality behind Claude's approach. And what is different about this type of interaction is I didn't create that 12 tones, but everything else I was just playing for you, taking Claude's advice. I was just making up, right? So it's still intensely creative, maybe not, I'm not Mike back there, but but it's still an intensely creative process, but also a very relaxing process, right? And that's how I think we need to view artificial intelligence at this time in our lives, as a creative thought partner, but that's not always how it's being used. So I used to say that my only regret in life was that I chose to major in Greek and Latin instead of computer science. Don't major in computer science, kids. Yeah. Now, with the advent of AI, I think my old school choice was actually the right one. The humanities will matter more than ever now that, to quote my favorite AI scientist, Andrzej Karpathy, English is the hottest new programming language. If you have a humanities degree or background, if you are an artist or a writer, you are already better at AI than most people, whether you've tried it or not. So go try it if you haven't. You know how to approach problems creatively and descriptively. You know how to think outside and inside systems. And most importantly, you know how to evaluate and toss AI slop. At least I hope you do. Some of you all are posting some stories on social media that are AI generated. Always feel free to DM me if you're not sure. Those feel-good stories that promote resilience and bootstrapping, these are all AI generated. The art for them is all AI generated, and the messaging is algorithmic bias. I'll leave it at that. Be careful. So what does the future look like? The AI hype actually is hype. I'm going to tell you that. But the technology is real. It's not a calculator. It's electricity. When will we have general artificial intelligence that can truly reason and perform at and beyond human capabilities? I don't think it will be soon. I know we always hear people saying, oh, it's right around the corner. I do not think so, and I work with these tools a lot. But I do think that we all need to start thinking about the consequences right now. It's important for all of us. This is our future. It's our children's future. This summer, I'm reading The Entanglement, How Art and Philosophy Make Us What We Are by UC Berkeley philosophy professor Alvin Noe. And I want to leave you with his words about why art, human art, is important now more than ever. Quote, "Technology is culture, but art is not more technology. It is not more culture. Art refuses culture by disrupting its habitual operations. In this sense, it emancipates us from culture. Art shines forth and loops down and disorganizes, and thus, finally, enables the reorganization of the life of which it is the representation and against which it is a reaction." In the age of generative AI, take me as a warning, take me as an inspiration, but don't ignore this technology. And carve out a space and find what makes you human. Thank you. Joys and sorrows.
Whoa. I'm gonna have to get on YouTube and listen to your speech again. Oh, your sermon, sorry. Each week, we take time to acknowledge the many joys among us and to grieve the many sorrows and losses, so that we might lift that burden for each other and receive the blessing of this community. It is through our sharing with one another that we forge deep bonds of community and connection. If you are holding someone in your heart this morning, I invite you to speak their name aloud into this community that we may hold them with you. May the arms of this community hold all our joys and sorrows, those named and those that remain silent and close to our hearts. Let us together take a deep breath in and out, releasing the sorrows the world knows too well and finding comfort in our companionship with one another. Realize that you are part of a whole and holy community where joy and woe are woven fine.
Let us breathe again together. In our digital age, wisdom demands a new orientation toward the organic, the gentle, the beautiful. Technology amplifies both our potential for good and our need for wisdom. May we choose wisely, create compassionately, and love deeply. For the exercise of our human imagination is dangerous to those who profit from the way things are, because it has the power to show that the way things are is not permanent, not universal, not necessary. Let us exercise our imagination boldly. I invite you to rise, embody your spirit, and join together in singing our closing hymn, 123, Spirit of Life, in the gray hymnal.
Friends, I invite you to place your hands over your heart for our closing blessing. As we create intelligence in our machines, may we cultivate wisdom in our hearts. The measure of our progress is not in our technology's power, but in our humanity's depth. In an age of artificial intelligence, let us cherish and cultivate human wisdom. Blessed are we all. Go in peace.